Candace Owens did not just expose leaked text messages in her most recent videos on our YouTube channel. What she effectively did was expose the spin that Turning Point's PR, aka Andrew Kolvet, has been feeding the public for donations and to protect the direction that they want Turning Point going in. Just my opinion on over 15 years of experience in marketing and PR myself. Well, welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. My name is Ashley Brianna Eve. And today, if you haven't been able to tell so far, we're talking about the explosive Charlie Kirk text message leak that Candace Owens had released on her podcast just the other day, and the response from Andrew Kolvet, who, contrary to popular belief, meaning the spin he's put out there, is the crisis comms guy, a very effective crisis comms guy, which makes me believe there's a lot more that he's afraid is going to get released based on how he's acting on the Charlie Kirk Show. That man knows that there's more out there, and I think he might be worried Candace has her hands on it. But we are diving into that. We're also diving into the PR perspective, just from an outsider looking in, that Turning Point took in the beginning and that they're taking now. Because you best bet everything Turning Point has been doing has been to protect Turning Point and their pocketbooks. This isn't about protecting Charlie's legacy. In fact, I would argue that if anything had to do with protecting Charlie's legacy, they would have been the first ones out here releasing those text messages and being honest about his views prior to his death. Not only that, they wouldn't have the audacity to sit at the desk of the Charlie Kirk Show and continue that show. I don't know how these people sleep at night to not only spin a narrative that very clearly wasn't Charlie Kirk's wishes and his thoughts in 48 hours before he died, but then to sit at his desk. I mean, the depravity knows no bounds here. That's all I'm going to say about that. But those text messages, which we will go over, look like Charlie Kirk was looking to leave the pro-Israel cause. That's something that a lot of us that have been seeking the truth in this whole situation have been saying for some time, that based on his publicly available information, it looked like he was setting up to leave the pro-Israel cause. In one of my videos, I even said, I think this was the last one that got my channel tanked. I said, I don't even think he's written. He was the one that wrote the letter to Netanyahu. I think a crisis comms guy did. I believe that Andrew Kolvet, my opinion only, not saying he did, but a type like that, wrote that letter as a proposal to a client. Funny enough, well, once you know it, Israel is literally implementing that exact proposal as we speak. Coincidence? I think not. But we're going to look at this. Stick around as we break down their playbook, expose their fixer, and reveal why they're not honoring Charlie Kirk's real voice. Hit the subscribe button. Let's just get into it because I'm fired up. Went off script on a rant before we even got started, but let's get into it, my friends. All right, let's look first at the text messages that Candace Owens has access to. Again, Andrew Kolvet claims that he sent it to governmental people. But let's look at the text messages that Candace Owens released.
And I think it helps contextualize him as a person, in my view, that he would attack me for telling the truth about the pressure that he was facing. Take a look. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. In my opinion, like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread.
Now, here's the thing for me. Do you believe anything Turning Point says at this point? You shouldn't, because they said no, there was no intervention. Because look at this Netanyahu letter. He was so pro Israel. He was writing a proposal as a very experienced crisis comms guy, apparently, because he loves Israel so much. Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your ears. You're going crazy listening to his own words. He loves Israel. This is a masterclass on the halo effect in PR and grief monetization. Well, now you don't have someone that's questioning Israel. You don't have a wild card that wants to bring Candace Owens to events. How would that look? If you're still on the fence of believing these charlatans, if you're still on the fence of Turning Point's beliefs and who they're protecting, if they were having a conniption to the level they were over Tucker Carlson being featured, what would have happened when Candace Owens took the stage with Charlie Kirk? There would have been a nuclear meltdown at Turning Point and within the pro-Israel connection donors. They were concerned about losing, what was it, 2 million? I think in the text message, let's look, 2 million. How many millions were on the line if Candace Owens stepped on stage at a Turning Point event? Just think about it for a minute. Because here's the lie that Turning Point exposed themselves within. Charlie's own words, text messages from days before his death. Okay, right off, call us conspiracy theorists for believing all of the interviews he did, the one with Megyn Kelly just a month before his death, who, by the way, has a smear campaign being launched against her right now. I have a video that's going to be going up in Substack for anyone that is signing up. Substack is going to be the stuff that I am getting censored on in YouTube. It's going over to Substack because I'm sick of YouTube censoring me, especially when YouTube is my income for my farm animal sanctuary. So I'm sick of it. We're going over to Substack. And one of the videos I have ready is the smear campaign that's going on against Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly better watch her back right now. I don't think they're going to assassinate her as well. That would be a little too obvious, but they'll try to take her down. Mark my words on that. So here's the lie. Just 2 days before his death. Let's leave out the interview he did with Megyn that I've played multiple times. Let's leave out what him and Megyn talked about at the Turning Point event. Let's leave out him asking if there was a stand down order. Let's just go by his own words 2 days before, which Andrew Kolvet admitted is real. He said that he has no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Candace is also saying that she was concerned, or she found out he was concerned that they were going to kill him. Who's they? Now, here's the thing. This is why I think Andrew is shaking in his boots, because he looks like he saw a ghost on that. And to see a crisis comms guy that concerned tells me Candace has more. Or he's at least concerned she has more. Because Candace also said that Charlie was concerned they were going to kill him. Who's they? And who has that text message thread? And I think Andrew's concerned about that coming out as well. And the they being revealed. But Turning Point did not honor the real Charlie. They didn't honor his voice. They didn't honor his beliefs. Why? They're going to lose millions of dollars by continuing on the true legacy of Charlie Kirk. It is a PR crisis for a company that is building their millions of dollars and their whole PR campaign off of this Israel fight, pro-Israel fight, being besties with Netanyahu. It's a PR crisis to have the face of your company going rogue. And I show a video of Andrew Kirk's face when Charlie Kirk clearly goes off script at an event. I showed that in a previous video. Make sure to watch my playlist. It's good shit. It's just getting buried. So make sure to watch that video as well. I'm not going to play it here. But they didn't start to even tell a sliver of truth until Candace Owens forced their hand. Now, really quick, let's look at Andrew Kolvet. And again, I have a full video on him, but just to give context, because he's the guy who is running this PR campaign. I've seen people, even body language specialists, talk about Erica Kirk when she went on the Charlie Kirk Show. She was prepped. My opinion, based on being in PR, my opinion, based on the comms guy sitting right next to her. But Andrew Kolvet is the fixer. He's damage control. He's not some random spokesperson. He's not the bestie that he himself has claimed. He's a crisis comms pro. He's at the top of his game. He allegedly runs ATK company, which you can't find anything about. And that's usually the case with high-level PR companies. This is a PR firm that allegedly specializes in cleaning up messes, allegedly for GOP campaigns, think tanks, often tied to pro-Israel causes. Now, he has been the producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. After Charlie's death, he's said he's Charlie's best friend. Never heard Charlie say that. But this guy's no lightweight. He's not some rando PR guy that was Charlie's best friend and Charlie's like, oh, I'll give you a job so I feel bad for you. This is a heavyweight in the PR world, Andrew Kolvet. And when I can't find anything on him and all of my tools aren't working to find shit on him, you know the guy's good at what he does. Not so good that he didn't foresee someone leaking a bunch of stuff to Candace Owens, though. I don't think I've ever seen a PR guy at that level shake like that and be that white and mumble that much trying to deliver the script. Because he's been cornered. He's been caught. And again, I think he's shaking in his boots because I think he believes Candace Owens has more that she has yet to release. And I think Candace Owens has more that she is yet to release. But let's look at the damage control that Andrew Kolvet's been on since the release of those text messages. Now we're just going to play a few clips here. The whole thing, the longer it goes on, it just gets worse. But let's go.
This show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And
he's actually not addressing it head on. He's reacting and on damage control. So that's the first micro lie. Addressing it head on would have been him talking about this before it was leaked. And he says he shared it with some people. So was Andrew pissed? Was he sharing this with a bunch of people, his concerns about Charlie? Did that text message get into the wrong hands? And that's why Charlie was concerned that whoever they is, was going to kill him?
I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there.
Yeah, he looks super excited.
I just want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my.
So it didn't fit with things that were already public, which is the narrative that Turning Point wants out there. It didn't fit with the letter that we released that he sent Netanyahu, allegedly. Again, I do not think Charlie wrote that. I think Andrew wrote that because that entire letter reads like a proposal by a crisis comms guy.
Friends trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to.
It happened quick. He shared it with government. I have a feeling it's not FBI that shared that with Candace Owens. I have a feeling it's not the FBI. I have a feeling he leaked it to a bunch of people expressing his concerns about Charlie, not wanting Charlie to go down that route, concerns about how it might impact Turning Point and donors moving forward. And one of those people reached out to Candace, maybe the same person that gave Candace the internal memo that Charlie, a week before his death, was investigating the finances of the company.
Get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently. But here we are. So one of the reasons, Blake.
Do you see the lies? So it started out with he shared it with the government and then he shared it with a few people. And I don't know where it went from there. Yeah, he's shaking, baby. He's shaking. This is someone where it's personal, right? When you're in PR and you're running a campaign for someone, you can usually keep your cool. If I'm running a campaign or I'm doing marketing for someone, I'm not concerned. Obviously, there's a level of stress for my client, but this is a personal shaking in the boots. This isn't detached from it, just running narrative control for a company.
That I'm glad to have this now public. It was not mine to share publicly, but one of the criticisms we've received is that we don't care. We're not investigating every lead. We're not looking under every stone, and that somehow we're just like, sweeping things under the rug. And when I say that we want justice for Charlie more than anybody else, I really mean it, and no stone unturned.
How you sleep sitting at that desk, pulling this shit is beyond me.
Of Israel, because I know there's a lot of fascination. And I just want to say that, we have to let free speech be our North Star here. Okay. Charlie was adamantly free speech. And I am not personally going to impugn anybody's character who is asking questions and looking for answers. All right. And I will say that text chain is consistent with public frustrations that he voiced many times. And I know, Blake, you were in the trenches on a lot of this stuff because we were workshopping how we were going to do the tour and what he's going to get asked about Israel. What was he going to say? And this is consistent with things that he told his friends, people that are, in the wider movement about his rep.
Yet Andrew dodged that question again that Alex Clark asked him. And I shared that on a previous video as well she asked him straight up that he was concerned about friction in the movement, friction and turning point. And Andrew dodged that.
That he was going. And so I just want to say, what is the truth about the way Charlie felt about Israel? Well, it's complicated and it's nuanced, and it was a wrestle that was going on for months. And it's probably somewhere between the BB letter and the text group text.
I don't even think there's a between.
It hasn't been just going on for months. You can find video where Charlie Kirk is questioning Israel from over a year ago, where he asks, was there a stand down order? That's not something that's new. And again, I still don't believe that Charlie Kirk wrote the letter to Netanyahu. I think a crisis comms person wrote it.
And that is something that he also he expressed very publicly on Megyn Kelly. Now, I know this clip has gone viral, but I think it's worth playing again. So here's Charlie in his own words with Megyn Kelly, cut 65.
And I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megyn, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? What am I doing? I'm sorry. Let's just take a step back here. I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megyn, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's almost as if
took them a while to share this, right? Or to even acknowledge the reality here. It's because it's all damage control now. They have no choice. Candace backed them into a corner. We'll show a little bit more and then I'll talk about their damage control.
He would be frustrated, but the point when I say moderate tone, when he would say something off the cuff, maybe to you or to me or to some other friend, his public statements, he would kind of strike just a little bit more tender tone, if you will. And so here's the thing. I looked at that moment as he's just blown off steam. He's frustrated. He's venting, right? And I just want to say, he made that very clear under any circumstances that he was not going to be cowed or bullied into deplatforming Tucker, for example. He made that expressly clear to us.
So he's reading a script, probably written by himself.
Would he have invited Candace? I have no idea. You know, I think what he was saying in that text, he's like, keep coming at me, bro, and let's see what happens, right? And Charlie was wonderfully defiant.
It just blows my mind how even in Charlie's own words, we have his own words from 48 hours before his death, and Andrew is continuing to spin and manipulate, which is such a PR thing to do. It's sickening, really.
Was, frustrated. He was frustrated, and that would have felt like a betrayal to my friend because he never said anything like that publicly in like a show, right? He said things with Megan that were very, like, we just played them. I went on Alex Clark's show and I felt like I did a faithful job of expressing what I believed his genuine feelings were. One thing that I want to reiterate, this is an ongoing investigation. There are things that are happening that I don't know about. I also, however, am cognizant of the fact that whatever I say could, first of all, it could negatively implicate an ongoing investigation.
So then, okay, this is what we're going to talk about now because he's shifting away from the text messages, right? And he's getting you to a point where now you're going to feel bad. Oh my goodness, I should not question the narrative. If I question the narrative, I'm going to negatively impact the investigation. So that's all intentional as well. Let's break down exactly what he's doing, this crisis playbook, and why it's falling apart. This is Crisis Comms 101. Here's what they did. So step 1, confirm. He had no choice. He had literally no choice but to confirm and diminish. So Kolvet admitted the texts were real. Smart move. He had no choice though. So it kills those forgery claims and he gets ahead of it. However, he spun the narrative. So that is the micro lie that Candace Owens is talking about, spinning the narrative as private venting under stress. So it wasn't actually his true beliefs. Guys, it wasn't his true beliefs. He was venting under stress. So it wasn't a real shift from Charlie's pro-Israel stance, guys. Sounds good, right? Except it doesn't match the tone of the text messages. Doesn't match the tone of anything you see publicly from Charlie Kirk in the last year. Charlie wasn't just stressed. He was very clearly starting to get concerned. Not just stressed, concerned. Maybe even scared. Step 2, deny and then deflect. Kolvet played the privacy card. Those texts were private. There's an ongoing investigation. But right after saying the text messages are private, he didn't want to betray his best friend, right? He admits he took the screenshots and sent them to government contacts. And then shortly after says that he sent them to a few people because we all know it wasn't the FBI that sent those to Candace Owens, all right? So hold up, Andrew. If you just sent them to government contacts, how the hell did they end up with Candace? That slip is going to open Pandora's box of questions. Who really got those text messages? And I'd love to see Candace dig into that because she has access. I don't. I'm not in the know with people in Turning Point. I'm just calling the moves as I see them because of my experience in crisis comms, my experience in PR. So who really got those text messages, Andrew? And I'd love to know the thread that went with that screenshot. I don't think you just sent a blank screenshot to people. I think there was text with it, maybe expressing your concerns if Charlie continues to go rogue, if he brings Candace on stage. Because look at the shitstorm that happened. You lost $2 million just from him talking about or him refusing to denounce Tucker Carlson. So how much money would Turning Point have lost if Candace Owens stepped on stage? And y'all called her crazy. No one stepped to her defense, including with Turning Point, when she was coming out saying that they were going to have a reunion. Everyone was calling her crazy. So who really got those texts, buddy? I have a feeling we're all going to find out eventually. Step 3, rebuild with emotion. Once more with feeling, guys. Kolvet's trembling voice, let's be honest, it looks like he saw a ghost. Shaky voice, lack of confidence, doesn't really portray someone with his experience in crisis comms that he has saying, we just want justice for Charlie more than anything. We want no stone unturned. That's a rallying for the base. You got to give the people what they want, right? You have to keep in mind for crisis comms, yes, you're controlling the narrative, but you have to keep in mind that the base right now loves Charlie. He's the face. This isn't McDonald's where you just replace it with a new burger because people didn't like the last one. It's not Lululemon. People are pissed that your pants were too sheer, so their butt cracks hanging out at the gym. So you put out a new type of pant, yoga pant. No, that's not what it is. He was the face. So you need a rallying cry for the base. This is all PR. You need to bring them back together. So you pivot back to the shooter in custody. It's a lone shooter. We want justice. No stone unturned. I did this to defend my friend. I did this to defend his legacy. I'm the only one. He doesn't say these words, but what he's giving you is I'm the only one protecting him. Look at Candace out here spreading this shit. It'll work for some people. Hopefully they find this video and see what's going on. God knows it's going to be buried. But to skeptics and anyone that can see behind the veil of his bullshit, it felt nauseating while he's sitting at the desk of Charlie Kirk in the office where they filmed the podcast. You're using Charlie's show to spin the truth around his death? Are you okay? That's bold. Bold move. It's going to backfire in his face. Because here's the real issue. Whether Turning Point had anything to do with Charlie's death or not, look, there's zero evidence that they did. So I'm not going to say they did. Their narrative after he died suited them. Every single person involved, and I'm including Erica in that. Not saying she knows what was going on, but she's part of the machine that kept the narrative controlled. Every single piece was to protect Turning Point and the donors and the money. Follow the money is something I say all the time. They painted him as this pro-Israel right down to the moment he died. In fact, I've lost friends over questioning this. I've lost some Jewish friends for questioning this because they said he died pro-Israel. He died pro-Israel. How dare you? Well, there was private doubts just 2 days before his death that Turning Point was ignoring. And I'm telling you right now, brace yourselves, put on a good bra and buckle up, because I am going to go out on a limb and say that Candace Owens has a text message or has proof that Charlie was afraid for his life. Going to go out on a limb there. And I've only watched now 2.5 videos of her coverage of this. So I'm not some Candace stan. I'm not some blind follower of someone. I think for myself. So you can save yourself posting that bots in my comment section. Thank you. But thank you for the engagement for the video. Those texts show Charlie was evolving, questioning donor pressure, feeling unsafe, and looking to align himself again with Candace Owens, who I think is the biggest threat to Turning Point, even before his death. By burying that, Turning Point did not honor him. They used him. They used his memory. They used the belief that people had in him, the love people had for him. They used him for money, my opinion only. 10 million plus in days after his death. They used the parts of Charlie that fit a narrative they wanted. And they left out the things that they didn't like, that didn't fit the narrative. That's PR 101. Candace's leak gave us the real Charlie's concerns in the days leading up to his death. Conflicted. Very human. Betrayed by his own allies. The very people that are sitting at his desk, continuing his podcast under his name. That's why this matters. It's not just about a leak. It's about rewriting a man's legacy for profit while you sit at his desk. It's sickening. It literally makes me sick to my stomach. This is the shit that makes all PR professionals look bad. They should all be ashamed, but they're not going to be. They're just pissed the truth got out. So what's next? Will Turning Point get ahead of it and release the full text messages? Doubtful. Maybe they're hoping that Candace doesn't actually have what she claims to have. Are they going to double down on the lone shooter story and that Turning Point more than anyone else wants the truth? I think there is a possibility here that they are going to advocate a little bit more publicly as no other choice or no other option but to. I think they will. I think they'll advocate a little bit more. But I don't think they're going to head on face anything. Andrew's a liar when he says, we want to face this head on. No, you're facing the backlash head on. You're facing the leaked text messages head on. What's the saying? Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. This kind of PR doesn't work anymore, my friend. Same shit I've called Nick Shapiro out for. This PR doesn't work. Not in today's day and age. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did Turning Point betray Charlie's legacy? Hit that like button if you want more deep dives around this. Subscribe. Please share. Please leave a comment. These videos get buried in the algorithm. These videos continue to get my channel hit with suspicious activity. Even when I don't post anything, I'm continually getting hit with suspicious activity. I've done all the checks on my channel, all the checks on my computer. There is nothing, no malware, nothing that I can find. And if you're interested, I do have Substack, which is starting officially in November, but I'm going to be getting content ready throughout October for things I can't put on YouTube because I am tired of being silenced. I'm tired of them forcing creators' hands by using money against them because creators like myself make our living off of creating content, exposing the truth. And YouTube is currently taking our money away to get us to shut up. So I'm going over to Substack with anything that I feel is too controversial to put on YouTube to protect the channel itself. And if you're interested in that, I'll put the link as well in the show notes. Just a heads up, please be aware. I'm just getting it started. It is a shell right now, but we're working on it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the continued support. I'm a little channel at the end of the day. I have a big voice and a lot of audacity, and I'll continue to be here calling things out. My perspective is always going to be through the lens of media manipulation and PR because that's what I know. I don't know Charlie personally. I'm not on the inside of Turning Point, so I can't bring you the receipts that Candace does. But what I can do, it looks like, is call some of the things I've seen out before Candace gets there because their PR play is so obvious. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.